All right. Well, and good morning. My name is Oliver Blue, and I am your guide on the side today as we take another giant step on this journey of transformation. And I am here representing a Truly Foundation, a nonprofit organization that was founded by myself and my lovely wife. And we are here dedicated to providing the entire universe with what we call advanced spirituality. And so we share it on these platforms in different way, different forms. This is only the beginning. This is a special project where we're going through the workbook lessons of A Course in Miracles, all 365 lessons. So we've committed ourselves to provide these commentaries for each one of the workbook lessons as for an entire year. That's a huge commitment. But we are all about helping people to come to an awareness of the reality of who they are. We're committed to people waking up to what is real. We're committed. We're really committed to people coming to the knowing of themselves. So important. It was important for us. And we know how much, 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 it's much needed right now in this 2022 with everything that is shining and vying for our attention, with all the complexities that we see in the world right now, where there's there's an upheaval and an uprising, to where people are trying to change the landscape of the world. And so we're here in this time. And what I would say is there's nothing to fear. Fear not. That which is according to the grand plan of that which is real. The grand plan is being brought forth, and it might look pretty in this evolution, but know that love is all there is, and love is what will prevail. There are many plans in a man's heart. There's many plans in a man's heart that are not the plans of God. But only the purpose of God shall prevail. And so to know what those purposes is, we can be reassured. We can be at peace in the midst of seeming chaos, which we see. We need more than ever to know what real peace is. Starting individually. You want to know it. You want to have that experience in the midst of chaos. Because in the false world, the external world, it is in upheaval right now. But it is in the midst of this upheaval that the light shines. That's why the world needs your light. We're the light of the world. That false world is plunging deeper and deeper into darkness. It needs light. That's why our knowing of ourselves and the awareness of ourselves and what the will of God is so important right now. So God needs you, need all of us. All of us are needed, but because we're all part of God's plan for salvation. Our plan to stop the suffering. And the plan to stop the suffering is for people to come to know their true self. When they change their perception from darkness to light, the world changes. And so our role is very important. And so today we're going to jump off. Very important subject that we're talking about today. Lesson 68 from the workbook. Lesson 68. We're still on this subject of love. On yesterday we said that love is what created us, and it created us like itself. And so we know that we are love. So say, I am love. You are love. All humanity is love. But if they don't know that, humanity will think that itself is a dark entity, and it will promote darkness. Thus you see the chaos. But in reality, all humanity is love. That's what we're made of. And it said we're created like itself. We are love, loving and lovable. That is the truth that sets us free. We can't change it, but we can ignore it. We can write a different script and say, no, I'm not love. I'm an ego. I'm an individual self with my self-will, and I'm going to bring that will to light. And then you see what happens in the world when that happens. There's only one will, and that's the will of love. That's the will of God. And when we align ourselves with that will, collectively there will be what? We'll create an environment of what? Peace, real peace. But until then, we know what happens. So today we're talking about love, and love on this part, now that we know that we are love, now we're talking about what that looks like as it show up in the world. What does love look like as you? Well, the first thing it says that what it does not look like. This first lesson is about what love doesn't look like, because it's a mismatch. So today's idea is that love holds. Love holds no. Love holds no grievances. Okay? So it says love holds no grievances. What is a grievance? What do you mean when you say love holds no grievances? What is it saying about love holds no grievance? Let's read to see what it says. But first of all, let me define what a grievance is. Merriam-Webster says that a grievance is a real or an imagined wrong or other cause for complaint or protest, especially unfair treatment. So grievances has to do with where we feel like we're unfairly treated. And because we are unfairly treated, we hold a grievance. We hold on to the fact that we were unfairly treated. We hold on to it. Meaning we hold on to it like we hold on to what? See, if you held on to a hot burning coal, what would happen? If you hold on to it, it would burn your hand. So likewise, a grievance is when you hold on to the idea of being unfairly treated, it will burn through our entire being, holding on to it. Why? Because love doesn't do that. It holds no grievance. Love holds no grievance. Why? Because the nature of love is what? To forgive. Love holds no resentment. Grievances has to do with, it says here, a feeling of resentment over something believed to be wrong or unfair. Okay? So when we talk about grievances, we're talking about something perceived or something, some act towards us that we felt like we were unfairly treated. And so we don't just have the act, but then we hold on to it. We hold on to it in our thoughts, in our feelings, and in our actions, in our attitude. And we hold resentment. We resent the other person. It's not that we resent the treatment. We resent the person who we feel delivered the treatment. So this is a huge lesson today. Let's knuckle down in. It says love holds no grievance. It says you who were created by love, like itself, which is all humanity, can hold no grievances and know yourself. So it says to hold a grievance, you would have to not know yourself, or you would have to ignore your true reality as love to hold on to a grievance, because love holds no grievance. The nature of love does not hold on to resentments or grievances. It didn't say that love, that one doesn't recognize or notice a resentment or notice an unfair treatment towards them, because it happens in this dimensional world. You don't be in this dimensional world, this false world, it may not be treated with love, and respect, it's going to happen. But it says the love that what holds no grievance. It doesn't hold on to the resentment. It doesn't hold on to the idea of being unfairly treated. So if it doesn't hold on to it, what does it do? It lets it go. It gives it up. It forgives. It gives it up for what? A different perception. It says, so to hold on to a grievance, you'd have to not know yourself, because yourself is love, and love holds no grievance. So you would have to make a decision that you're going to walk away from your true self, your true nature, to hold on to a grievance. That's amazing. It says, to hold a grievance is to forget who you are. You have to forget that you're loved to hang on to a grievance. Why? Because love holds no grievance. Love understands that what? It can't be unfairly treated. Love is what? Impregnable. Real love is unpregnable. It's protected from all hurt, harm, and danger. True love is. It can't be hurt. So it don't hold on to grievances or resentments. You would have to forget or deny or lay down or walk away from your true nature in order to hold on to a grievance. To hold on to it in your thoughts, to hold on to it in your emotions and your feelings, to hold on to it to the point where, your attitude, your complete attitude, which is your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, will reflect that what? You were unfairly treated, and you want to let the world know. You want to let everybody know. In fact, you want to go after the one that unfairly treated you. He said, but to do that, you would have to deny your true self. You would have to forget who you are. So when we get in a place where we're holding grievances against people, when somebody, you're holding a grievance with someone when they can't walk down the street of your mind safely because of the thoughts that you're having towards them, or the feelings that you're having towards them, or the actions that you might be taking against them. That lets you know that you're holding a grievance. And it's saying here that love holds no grievance. So you're denying that you are loved. Remember we talked about, the biblical occasions that talks about love in 1 John. That says what? God is love. And everyone that is created by God is created by love. And love holds no grievances. True love holds no grievances. And Jesus was what? He was the supreme example of what true love looked like. He held no grievance against anyone. When he was nailed to a cross, what did he say? Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. In other words, he wasn't going to hold a grievance against them. He didn't feel like he was being unfairly treated. He didn't feel like he was being unfairly treated. And though we feel sorry for him and all the agony, and you know how they depict Jesus in the crucifixion. But people that are depicting Jesus in that way in the crucifixion, as though he was unfairly treated, they're holding the grievance themselves in the way that they depicted him. Jesus saw it as an act of love. He was proving that love is real. He looked to the left, looked to the right. He told the guy to the right, say, look, this day you'll be with me in paradise. This day. Why? Because he was saying what? Be in love, you be with me, because I am love. So love and grievances are totally opposite. So when we find ourselves holding grievance, we're totally opposite of love. But love has no opposite. So that means we're in a state of false illusions. We're in a state of illusions. It says, to hold a grievance is to let the ego rule your mind and to condemn the body to death. To hold a grievance is to see yourself as a body. You would have to leave your place of love and true identity and see yourself as a body mind, a body identification. You have to be totally body identified in order to hold a grievance. You would have to forget yourself. You would have to leave your place of love to hold a grievance. You can't do it in love. Grievances can't be held in love. They can't abide in love. So when we're holding a grievance, just imagine what's happening. It's going to tell us some more. So number one, love holds no grievance. You would have to what? Not know yourself. You would have to forget who you are. You have to see yourself as a body. You would have to let the ego rule your mind and to condemn the body to death. Perhaps you have not yet fully realized what holding a grievance does to your mind. Holding a grievance will absolutely put your mind in a cesspool. You can't think straight. You can't think right. There's no loving thoughts. You ever get to the point where you can't think anything, think about one thing good about a person? That lets you know what you're holding a grievance against them. You felt like they did you wrong, that they betrayed you. And at that moment, you can only see that person in a way that you don't even want to see yourself. And we're whole. It's not one thing it's not that you're not going to have the opportunity to be grieved. You are. We all do. But to hold on to it, to take actions against it, to meditate on it, to get to a point where you explode and you just go off and you give people a piece of your mind. Ask yourself how you feel after that happens. It says here, it says that the ego rule your mind and to condemn the body to death. Perhaps you don't fully yet realize just what holding grievances does to your mind. What does it do to the mind? It seems to split you off from your source. It seems to separate you from love, separate you from God, separate you from your brother or sister. It seems to split you off and make you unlike what? Unlike love. You're unlike God. It says it seems to do that. That's not what it's doing. It's all happening in your mind. And it seems like that's what's happening in the heat of the moment. You guys know what I'm talking about. In the heat of the moment. It says, it's almost like what? It's me against the world. They treat me wrong. And not just against people, but against places and things and systems. You know, we can hold a grievance against what? The government. We can hold a grievance against our school. We can hold a grievance against what? We can hold a grievance against, people in entertainment and sports. I mean, we can hold a grievance against anything. Doesn't matter. People, places, or things. And it seems to split us off, us against the world. In that moment, it said it makes you believe that love is like what you think you have become. For no one can conceive of his creator as unlike himself. So in that moment that we are hot and holding on to a grievance to the point that we explode, we see God that way. We make of God an unloving father. Because in the moment we're being unloving. Or we're not in love. So do you see the connection with holding a grievance in the way you're going to see yourself? That's why Jesus said forgive. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath. You ever let the sun go down on your wrath? You end up having a nightmare. Why? You're holding on to the grievance. And so all you can see in that moment is evil, the person. But you got to remember that the person that you're looking at is you, your brother and sister that you're looking at. You all share the same life. So in that moment, life turns into what? It turns into what? An unloving situation. And then like they say, everything's on the table. That's no way to live. That's no way to feel. That's no way to be. That's not how love is. Love holds no grievance. It says, shut off from yourself. So in that moment of holding a grievance, you feel like you're shut off from your true self. And you are. You shut off from your true self. We don't think right. We don't feel right. We don't perceive right. when we're holding the grievance, we're looking now through what a point of view of the ego. And the ego say kill or be killed. The ego is vile and vicious. The ego thought system. It'll tell you to do the most vile and vicious things, to think the most vile and vicious ways. When we're in that stage, we know in that moment that we have allowed ourselves to walk away from love, to be afraid of love. We put our confidence in what the ego thought system of an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You know how that can play out. That can get real ugly. It says, so shut off from the self, which remains aware of its likeness to its creator. So love never changes. But we seem like we're shut off or split off from that when we've walked away from it and decide to play the ego strip. That we was unfairly treated. I resent that situation, that person, that place, that thing. And it consumes us in that moment. We don't see straight. We don't think straight. We don't feel straight. And love, as well, it's almost that love walked away from us. No, we walked away from love. But it's impossible for you, the real you, to do that. What happened is that all this is happening in your mind. This is what's happening in the mind. So that's why it's vital for the mind to be renewed, transformed. To learn that in those situations where you feel unfairly treated, how do you manage that? How do you navigate that? He's showing us here. You don't hold on to it. That's the most dangerous thing you could do to yourself, because you're going to enter into self-suffering. You're going to enter into self-judgment. You're going to enter into feeling as though that you lost your way. And we've all had that experience. All of us. Nobody is excluded from having the experience of having to make a decision to hold a grievance or to let it go. So this is a vital step in our undoing of the ego thought system. It's to recognize and notice what we're noticing. Notice how we're feeling when there's a twinge of resentment, when there's a huge explosion of resentment or grievance. It doesn't matter whether it's a small twinge or a huge explosion. We hold that grievance. It has the potential for us to have the same experience, whether it's a small twinge or a big explosion. We could have the experience of feeling like we're split off from ourselves, split off from love, split off from God. And we're out on an island on our own. And we feel fear. That's why fear again comes in, rushes in on us, because we feel unprotected. We feel vulnerable. We hold attack thoughts towards others. We attack others. We call them names and do all this other stuff. We go all the way back into history and we pull all that stuff into the present and we feel it all over again. That's a habit that we developed. It's not a good habit. It's a bad habit. It's a bad paradigm. So we have to train ourselves to be more mature. We have to develop the skill of being love only. Teaching only love, demonstrating only love. Practicing forgiving, giving up this perception, the ego thought system for the thought system of God, the Christ vision. See where forgiveness plays the role with oneness, that plays the role with loving, that plays the role. It's all these things are integrated. And see, Jesus demonstrated what that looked like. His life demonstrated what remaining in love, knowing who he was. That's why he was able to he was able to face everything that challenged him. And he never forgot who he was. Even when he had little momentary, they say he went into the temple and turned over tables. He had a little tantrum, but he didn't hold on to it. He didn't go to sleep holding on to it. And his tantrum wasn't against people. It was against the idea that the world was bamboozling all humanity to believe in a certain way, and he knew that was not the truth. That's why the Bible said he was tempted, yet without sin. What is the sin? The sin is holding on to the grievance. He's holding on to it. He was yet without error. We said sin. The Bible says sin, and we call it error because the error can be corrected. The concept of sin is that it can't be corrected. It had to be atoned for. What Jesus had taught us in these first 67 days, that there's no such thing as sin. Sin is a man-made idea. He said, we make errors. Errors can be corrected. So in the heat of the moment, there were several instances where he bristled up. He called the religious people a few names. But he wasn't calling them names like trying to get them to, he wasn't calling them something that they want. He was saying, he was asking them to notice the way they were acting. The way you're acting, you're not acting in love. You're putting all these heavy burden on the people, and you're not even doing it. He said, you're empty. You think you're full, but you're empty. You wear your long robes, your phylacteries. He said, but you're full of bones. The false self is full of bones and sinew and blood and flesh. It's temporary. Love is permanent. So, he says, shut off from yourself, which remains aware of its likeness to its creator. Yourself seems to be asleep, while the part of your mind that weaves illusions in its sleep appears to be awake. It says, call all this. It says, can all this arise from holding a grievance? He asked the question, can all this madness happen to you from holding a grievance? Can you experience all of this? All of these feelings and emotions and psychological sense of separation from just holding a simple grievance? He said, can all of this happen from holding a grievance? And he said, oh yeah. Oh yes, it can happen. We all know it can happen. We've all experienced it. That means we're all in the same boat. We all need help. We all need training. We all need to transform our way of being, our way of thinking. He said, oh yes, all this can happen. He said, for he who holds grievances denies he was created by love. To hold a grievance, you have to deny that you are loved or created by love. To hold a grievance, you would have to deny your true self. To give someone a piece of your mind, you would have to leave love to do it. Because love doesn't hold grievances. You would have to become an unloving person in your mind. You have to recreate yourself or remake yourself from what God made you in your mind to give someone a piece of your mind. It says, and his creator has become fearful to him in his dream of hate. So when we leave love, we walk into the arena of hate. And God is not hate. God is love. In him there is no darkness at all. God created you. You are love, and in you are no darkness at all. So you would have to go over to the arena of illusions of hate in order to give somebody a piece of your mind and to hold on to it. And so it gives you the sense that you're split off from yourself. You're split off from love. You're split off from God. And that you had to forget God to do it and forget yourself to do it. So the ego is always inviting us and enticing us to come out from the place of love in your mind. Always saying, did you hear what she said? Did you hear what he said? Did you notice what he did? That ain't right. You see how they're treating you? I mean, it's this raucous shrieking that goes on in our head all the time. That's these voices that are always inviting us to man, they need somewhere to manifest themselves in. They're looking for someone that's want to play that script or to play that role as a grievance holder. You don't never want to play the role as a grievance holder. You always want to play the role of your true self as love. It says, who can dream of hatred and not fear God? So when we get over into a place of hatred, when you see hatred on display in the world, that particular person or people who are displaying hatred, the Course says they are dreaming of hatred, and they're also fearing God in the same time. They're fearing of what? The fear is what? The retribution that is coming upon them for what they're doing. So a person that know that they're hating and committing hateful acts, knowingly, will have to deny themselves and deny God and to deny love, to hold on to it. I mean, to continually to participate in it. So all wars and fightings and contention, everyone that's participating in that, they're dreaming of hatred. And in that moment, they don't even fear their own creator. They become their own creator. They become their own self that they're making, and not the love that God made. That's why they live in fear. That's why you feel fear. And the ego entices us to participate in this. And unbeknown to us, we end up in suffering. Mental, psychological suffering, physical suffering. And it's like we've gone prodigal. We've left our Father's house. And we end up eating with the pigs and and we get lost in that dream of separation, and it can go way down. I mean, we can hit rock bottom. And some of us have hit rock bottom. But by the grace of God, that love somewhere seeps through. And we come to ourselves, like the prodigal son did. And say, I'll go back to my Father. I'll go back to love. This hate thing is, this hate thing is, I've tried hate and I don't like it. Love was better. And love is better. It's the best. It's the only thing there is. You would have to go into hallucination. You would have to be hallucinating. Or acting insane in order to abandon love for hatred. And we see it on huge display, even in 2022. We see the hatred that people are displaying. You're seeing what people been holding on to for a long time. And they feel like now they got the platform to display it. We've seen it, and it started here in America. It started here in a big way in the last few years. And now the world feel like they can display all the hatred they've had. And we see what's happening today. Everybody's been emboldened to display hate. Everybody's been emboldened to abandon love. But know that they're operating in fear. Know that they are very fearful. And they're, some will even threaten to take the whole thing down if they don't get their way. We'll take everyone down with us. That's what you're seeing on display right now. That's what happened to Jesus. Jesus came with the message of love. And man loved darkness. And man say, what? We'll take him down. We'll take him down. Because we don't want love. We love darkness. And that's what they thought they did. They thought they took by taking him down or taking his body. Because you can't destroy love. They thought love was, the body. No, the body is just a communication device. That's not who Jesus was. So they took him out completely. Thought they would get rid of love. And lo and behold, love rose up in 3 days. And it's still here. And you are love. You are the light of the world. That's why the world needs to see your love. That's why you need to understand you can't hold on to grievances. Love holds no grievances. Just because you had a glimpse of who you are, to go back. Why would you go back and grab on to hatred? The same way you felt the last time, you're going to feel it again. When we detour into the illusion of separation, all of the feelings, the emotions, all the psychological imbalance, they're still there. In the illusion, in the dream of separation. But when we abide in the reality of love, which we are, there's peace, there's happiness, there's joy, there's creativity, there's well-being, there's all of the attributes of our Father. That's changeless. And so, it says, it is as sure that those who hold grievances will redefine God in their own image. So when we hold a grievance, we're redefining God in our image. We make of him an unloving father, or her an unloving father. That's what we're doing. We're redefining the one that created us. Isn't that something? It's like when the children decide that they're not doing anything that mommy and daddy doing. They're redefining the terms. And you know how that goes. You know how that feels. Like there's a coup. So we redefine. I mean, this is what holding a grievance does. We redefining our very own creator into our own image, as it is certain that God created them like himself and defined them as part of him. So now we redefine God as some hate monger. Because if we're holding on to hatred and resentment and grievances, that's the way we see our creator. That's the way we see our creator. That's the way we see ourselves. That's the way we see the one that we're holding attack thoughts against. It says, it is as sure that those who hold grievances will suffer guilt. So to hold a grievance, get ready for the guilt. You're going to feel guilty. Why? All this is all guilt and judgment and condemnation is all a part of the ego thought system. It's all happening in your mind over a little tiny trivial thing. Now it's become a huge mountain. And we can't think straight. We don't feel good. Our food don't even taste good. Nothing is good when we're holding a grievance. Nothing. You know what I'm talking about. And we're wondering, why am I feeling this way? Because you're holding on to what? You're holding on to hatred. Instead of what? Being love that you are. It says, it is as sure as those who hold grievances will suffer guilt, as it is certain that those who forgive, let it go, release it, will find peace. So the moment that you decide to release the grievance, to forgive the grievance, you find peace. Peace is in love, and love is in peace. But within holding the grievance, it's guilt and hatred and false perception. We don't even see ourselves the way we really are, or anyone else, let alone our creator, when we're hanging on to grievances. when we're resentful towards someone or something. There's a better way. There's a more loving way. It says, it is as sure that those who hold grievances will forget who they are, as it is certain that those who forgive will remember who they are. So to forgive is to remember your true self. That's what Jesus meant when he said, do this, what? In remembrance of me. Do what? We were thinking about the wine and the bread. No, he was talking about what? Forgive. Love your brother. Love your neighbor. Hold on to the perception of yourself and your neighbor as the loving beings that you are. We share the same being, which is love. So to remember is to forgive, or to forgive is to remember. But to hold on to a grievance is to forget. So would you not be willing to relinquish your grievances if you believe all of this was so? That's a rhetorical question. If you believe all this, what I said was so, would you not want to relinquish your grievance? He said, perhaps you do not think you can let your grievance go. That, however, is simply a matter of motivation. But it's simply a matter of motivation. To know the truth is to be motivated to what? To let all grievances go. When you know the truth, you let them go. What I taught you so far today is enough motivation for you what? To no longer hold on to grievances. Because you want peace. It says, that, however, is simply a matter of motivation. Today, we will try to find out how you would feel without them. If you succeed, even by ever so little, there will never be a problem that a motivation again. So today in our exercises, we're going to attempt what? To let go of grievances. We're going to attempt to what? We're going to attempt to be successful. To let grievances go. So begin today. So we're going to begin our daily practice period by searching our minds for those against whom we hold what we regard as major grievances. Major grievances. Some of these will be quite easy to find. We know who we're holding grievances against. Then think of the seeming minor grievances you hold against those you like and even think you love. It will quickly become apparent that there is no one against whom you hold that you do not cherish grievances of some sort. So when we take an inventory of what we are holding resentment about, where we feel unfairly treated, that we can't see the person the way they really are. We don't see them as love. We don't see ourselves as love in that moment. And we definitely don't see God as love. He's saying we're going to search our mind, take an inventory of the major grievances and the minor ones. It doesn't matter about whether it's major or minor. They all have the potential to plunge us into that dark place. So we're going to take the inventory. He said, and when you take the inventory, you realize that there's something we feel about kind of everybody. We're holding a grievance really about everyone in some way. It says what becomes apparent is that there is no one against whom you do not cherish grievances of some sort. So we all need to do this inner work. We all need to do this cleansing. It says, this has left you alone in all the universe in your perception of yourself. So we isolate ourselves like on an island when we hold grievances. It says, determine now to see all these people as friends. So say to them all, thinking of each one in terms as you do so. Say, I would see you as my friend, that I may remember you are part of me and come to know myself. Spend the remainder of the practice period trying to think of yourself as completely at peace with everyone and everything, safe in a world that protects you and loves you, and that you love in return. Try to feel safety surrounding you, hovering over you, and holding you up. Try to believe, however, briefly, that nothing can harm you in any way. At the end of the practice period, tell yourself, Love holds no grievances. When I when I let all my grievances go, I will know that I am perfectly safe. Our feeling of safety, our sense of safety comes with what? Being free of grievances. When we're not at peace, we need to what? Do an inventory. What are we holding a grievance about? What are we upset about? The short practice period should include a quick application of today's idea in this form. Whenever any thought of grievances arises against anyone, physically present or not, whether they're present or not, if you get the thought of a grievance of someone, it says, when that happens, say to yourself, love holds no grievances. Let me not betray myself. Because the whole grievance is to portray your own self as love. It's self-betrayal. In addition, repeat the idea several times an hour in this form. So today, several times today, repeat the idea. Love holds no grievances. I would wake to myself by laying all my grievances aside and waking to love, which is who I am. Because I am love. This is a huge lesson. And this lesson is going to come back many times between now and the end of our 365 days. Why? Because it's so critical. I'm not going to say anything else about that. I've said enough today about holding grievances and the impact that they have in our life. And you are in complete control of whether you hold grievances or whether you forgive. You are in control. So choose once again. You know what you like. You love peace. You love joy and happiness and creativity and abundance. Well, that's in your nature as love. To leave that and go over to the illusionary space of the ego thought system of hatred and grievances and resentment. The buzzards, that's where the buzzards reside, that affect our thinking and our feelings and our emotions and our actions and cause us what? To experience what we don't want to experience. When we know the solution, let it go. Because love what? Hold no grievances. Great message today. Great lesson. I'm out of here. I love you. Have a great day. Sila.